The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Thexelar slammed 3 of his appendages against the crystalline podium. His bioluminescent patterns flickered with barely contained disdain as he gestured toward the human delegation seated in the corner. "These primitives," he hissed, his translator rendering the contempt perfectly, "have been spacefaring for barely 2 centuries. They still use chemical propulsion on their outer colonies. They wage wars amongst themselves over resources that could be synthesized. And yet they request full council membership?" Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembled species. The Valorians with their quantum consciousness, the Zertorians who had mastered dimensional folding 10,000 years prior, the ancient keepers of the void, all nodded their various anatomies in concordance. Humanity was young. Humanity was crude. Humanity was primitive. Dr. Sarah Chen sat motionless in her seat, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display floating above the council floor. She didn't flinch at Thexelar's words. She had heard variations of this speech on every world humanity had visited. The pattern was always the same. Technological superiority bred arrogance, and arrogance bred blindness. "Ambassador Thexelar makes valid points," spoke Elder Shaharos, the keeper representative whose species had explored the cosmos for over 50 millennia. His voice carried the weight of epochs. However, the humans have demonstrated remarkable adaptability. Perhaps probationary membership. Adaptability. Thexelar's patterns flashed red. They barely understand the fabric of space-time. They stumble through hyperspace like children, using principles they discovered by accident. They know nothing of the true architecture of the universe. Sarah finally stood, her movement deliberate and calm. The chamber's attention shifted to her like a wave. She was small compared to most species present, her form fragile by galactic standards. But her voice, when she spoke, carried a quiet confidence that made even Thexelar pause. "You're right," she said simply. "We are young. We are crude in many ways. We do still fight amongst ourselves, though less each decade." She walked toward the center of the chamber, her footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. "But I wonder, Ambassador, in all your species' millennia of spacefaring, have you ever asked yourselves a simple question?" Thexelar's patterns shifted to curious purple. "What question?" Sarah tapped her wrist console and a new hologram materialized above the council floor. It showed a massive structure, impossibly large, residing at the core of the galaxy. The black hole engines as they were known throughout civilized space. 12 megastructures surrounding supermassive singularities, each one harvesting unimaginable energy and redistributing it through quantum conduits that spanned the galaxy. They were the foundation of modern civilization, the source of power for every hyperlane, every quantum network, every major station. "Who built these?" Sarah asked. The question hung in the air like a physical thing. Thexelar's patterns dimmed. Elder Shaharos leaned forward, his ancient eyes narrowing. "The engines are ancient," Shaharos said slowly. "They predate all known civilizations. They were here when my people first achieved faster than light travel. Even the precursors, the civilization before all others, found them already operational. They are simply here, a gift from the universe itself, or perhaps from species so advanced they transcended physical form." Sarah smiled, but there was no humor in it. "That's what we thought too. When we first encountered them, we assumed the same. But humans have a peculiar trait, Ambassador Thexelar. We're curious in annoying ways. We pick at things that work perfectly fine just to understand why they work." She expanded the hologram, zooming into the quantum architecture of one engine. 3 years ago, one of our research teams was studying the energy signatures of Engine 7. They noticed something strange. The quantum markers in the power distribution network contained information. Not just operational data, but something deeper. A signature, a watermark, if you will. The council chamber was utterly silent now. "It took us 18 months to decode it fully," Sarah continued. "The information was layered in a way that required you to think in very specific patterns. Non-linear, paradoxical patterns, the kind of thinking that emerges from a species that evolved through constant problem-solving, under impossible constraints." She pulled up another display, a decoded sequence of quantum information. "This signature contains manufacturing data, timestamps, origin coordinates, and a designation system." Her eyes swept across the assembled species. The engines were built approximately 47,000 years ago, by a species that called themselves, and the translation is rough, the scattered seeds of Earth. The chamber erupted. Thexler's patterns flashed through every color in rapid succession. Shaharos stood, his ancient composure finally cracking. Impossible, Thexler shouted. Humans have only been spacefaring for 200 years, yes. Sarah's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. This timeline confused us too, until we found the rest of the data. The hologram shifted again, showing Earth, then pulling back through time. Approximately 50,000 years ago, something catastrophic happened on Earth. Our archaeologists call it the Toba event, a supervolcanic eruption that nearly drove humanity extinct. Our population bottlenecked to perhaps a few thousand individuals. She paused, letting the information sink in. But what if that wasn't the whole story? What if a branch of humanity, one that had already reached the stars, saw it coming? What if they tried to prevent it, failed, and were cut off from Earth when the ash clouds made return impossible? The hologram showed a diaspora, human ships scattering across the galaxy, fleeing a dying homeworld. Those humans survived out here for thousands of years. They built the engines to support the civilization they hoped to create. But something went wrong. War perhaps, disease, resource collapse. Their colonies failed one by one. The last desperate survivors, knowing they were dying, did two things. Sarah's voice grew quiet, reverent. First, they encrypted the truth about the engines into the quantum architecture, knowing that only a species that thought like them, human, would ever decode it. Second, they turned their last ships toward Earth and sent them home, hoping that their primitive cousins, the ones who survived Toba, might one day inherit the stars they'd prepared. She closed the hologram. Those ships never made it. We found 3 of them, crashed on various worlds, their crews long dead. But their descendant, we survived. We crawled back from near extinction. We reinvented everything from scratch. And here we are, 47,000 years later, standing in a chamber powered by engines our ancestors built. Thexler had gone completely dark, his patterns extinguished. Elder Shaharos spoke, his voice trembling. The engines. We've built our entire civilization on human technology. For 50,000 years, we've been using systems we didn't understand, created by the species we just called primitive. Sarah nodded. Yes, and if I may say so, you've done an excellent job maintaining them. Our ancestors would be proud. She turned to face the full council. We don't want special treatment because of this. We're not demanding recognition for what our ancient cousins built. We're simply asking that you judge us on who we are now, not on your assumptions about what we should be. She walked back toward her delegation, then paused. Oh, and Ambassador Thexler, about that chemical propulsion you mocked. We use it because it's reliable, efficient for short-range transport, and doesn't require dependence on infrastructure we didn't build ourselves. We learned that lesson once before. We won't forget it again. The vote for Earth's full council membership was unanimous. As the session ended and species filed out in shocked silence, Elder Shaharos approached Sarah. How does it feel? He asked quietly. To discover your people shaped the galaxy twice. Sarah looked up at the ancient being and smiled, this time with genuine warmth. It feels like we have a lot to live up to. But then again, we always have. Outside the council chamber, through the massive viewport, the core of the galaxy glowed with the light of 12 black hole engines, humanity's first and greatest gift to the stars, a gift the galaxy had forgotten but which had never forgotten them.